The cursed giant tree, known as the Tree of the Abyss, extends its massive red roots downward like an inverted tower, serving as a dark pathway to the underworld. Those followed by the tree, like the young girl Pomerian, do not merely wander inside a physical trunk. Instead, they are completely absorbed into a chaotic maze, where dimensions overlap, leaving them stranded before towering roots that pulse with rainbow-colored energy. Outside the tree, desperation takes hold. Roderick, Cervanti, and Osiris unleash their most powerful combined attacks against the structure to rescue the trapped students. Their strikes hit the barrier, creating a massive explosion of light. However, as the smoke clears, the thick curtain of red vines remains completely unhurt. The three men stand exhausted and powerless, forced to accept that no outside force can reach the closed world inside the tree. Standing before the towering roots, Osiris realizes the grim truth. This dimensional prison can only be broken from the inside. Ancient lore says the tree's roots stretch endlessly downward into a pitch-black void. According to an unknown book, the tree will forcefully drag everyone it consumed down into the absolute depths of the abyss. Inside the tower's flooded first floor, Bakir maintains his ruthless chokehold on the Goblin Tower Guide. Decorabia and the Blue Spider hover nearby, silently watching. Yielding to Vikir's demands, the goblin forces something up its throat. The creature violently vomits a stream of thick, dark blue liquid directly into Vikir's hand. Decorabia and the small spider stare in absolute disgust at the fluid splashing on Vikir's arm. The terrified goblin guide timidly asks if this is an acceptable reward. Resting in Vikir's hand are several glowing orbs. These magical candies permanently boost stats. Red increases strength, green increases agility, and blue increases health. Bakir notes that clearing a floor grants these rewards, exactly as his past memories describe. Consuming them permanently increases a person's physical stats regardless of their level. He recalls his friend Piggy explaining a popular board game where players level up and allocate stats. Bakir realizes the demonic system inside the tree operates on a very similar logic. Clenching his fist, Bakir grounds himself, acknowledging that despite the game-like mechanics, this is a deadly reality. He remembers Amdusius's sadistic reasoning, believing betrayal and ugliness are humanity's true essence. The demon created this twisted stage to prove a point. The Abyss Tree was designed to trap people and maximize their violent traits, treating them as sacrifices to grow its own power for the era of destruction. Bakir reflects on his past actions, realizing he hid his true identity as the Night Hound precisely to prevent this disaster before the demons noticed his interference. Accepting that his efforts were in vain, he focuses on the present problem and wonders where the other trapped academy students are. Bakir raises a threatening fist, prompting the panicked goblin to frantically stutter that it truly does not know where the others are. The trembling guide explains the space inside the tree is distorted. Trapped students might randomly encounter each other on lower floors, or never cross paths at all. Bakir glares sharply at the fairy, sensing the creature is not lying about the tower's mechanics. The guide reveals a crucial rule. If even a single person reaches the bottom and escapes, everyone trapped inside will be freed, whether they survived or died. Because of this absolute rule, participants only have two options: helplessly wait for someone else to escape, or fight to become the single savior themselves. Bakir knows this choice is a nearly impossible task designed by a malicious demon to foster despair. In his past life, there was only one reason the students managed to escape this prison, which allowed the memoirs holding the tower's secrets to be written. That miracle was entirely due to Camus Morgue, an unpredictable, rule-breaking genius who defied Amdusius' expectations and eventually became the iron-blooded empress. However, Camus avoided the bracelet trap outside, meaning the genius who saved them in the past is not here to save them now. Bakir thinks about his classmates, Piggy, Tudor, Sancho, Bianca, Dolores, and Sinclair. He reflects with deep guilt that he failed to protect his true friends and the great future heroes. A system warning suddenly appears, announcing the area will collapse soon. Bakir resolves that he must take responsibility for his failure. He makes a firm vow to become the single survivor required to conquer the tower and save everyone trapped inside. Red warning messages begin to flash urgently, signaling the floor's time limit has expired and destruction is imminent. Amidst the flashing alerts, the goblin guide violently gags and forces another item up its throat. As rocks start raining down, the panicked goblin hastily hands Bakir a rolled-up parchment, nervously admitting it almost forgot this final reward. The system identifies the item as a return scroll. It allows one return to the tutorial area, completely resetting the user's level. Curiously, it is inscribed with the phrase, "Lord, where are you going?" The room's destruction accelerates rapidly, forcing Bakir to move on. The goblin cheerfully bids him farewell and wishes him luck on his escape. Bakir walks away calmly, easily avoiding the falling stones. Left behind in the collapsing room, the goblin guide flashes a sinister smile. A system notification confirms Bakir left the tutorial zone. His status updates, showing incredibly high base stats despite being only level 1, and reveals he earned a new title. His new title, Sewer Rat Hunter, grants bonus damage against rats and permanently extends the duration of status ailments he inflicts, like bleeding, burns and poison. On the second floor, known as the Familiar Land, a desolate courtyard centers around a massive dead tree and ruined buildings. Bakir steps onto the cracked stone, immediately recognizing the landscape. Now wearing his academy uniform, Bakir surveys the area with the little spider. He realizes with shock that he is standing in a ruined replica of Colosseo Academy. Decarabia explains that Amdusius swallowed parts of the real world to feed the abyss tree. The consumed environment has become a physical part of the tower. A glowing system interface suddenly appears, directing all 108 students who survived the tutorial to gather at the central plaza. Decarabia remarks this is a perfect opportunity to find his friends. However, thinking about the forced gathering, Bakir gets a dreadful premonition about what might be happening. At the ruined plaza, surviving students gather in panic and confusion. They are terrified by the environment and complain about the horrifying ordeal of surviving the tutorial floor. Decarabia notes that Bakir's roommates are nowhere to be seen, bluntly suggesting they might have died. Bakir angrily snaps at the pendant to stay quiet. Bakir notices a commotion nearby, where an aggressive student yells at someone to get lost. He sees armed noble students bullying an unarmed commoner who has fallen down. The commoner begs to borrow a weapon, but the nobles selfishly refuse, claiming whoever found them first gets to keep them. Escalating the cruelty, one noble violently grabs the commoner by the hair, angrily asking if he hasn't grasped their grim new reality. Pressing a sword close to the student's face, the arrogant noble degrades him. He declares that slow, useless commoners have no choice but to grovel before the nobility. Letting the boy go, the bully cruelly tells the terrified commoner to put in more effort if he wants to survive. The students realize the nobles use the gathering as a trap just to steal all the discovered weapons for themselves. Suddenly, a purple dimensional rift tears open right in the middle of the plaza, leaving all the students staring in shock. A sinister voice echoes from the portal, cheerfully greeting the 108 participants and noting how lively their behavior is already. A grotesque furry monster with sharp claws, fangs and a skull-like face emerges from the portal. It introduces itself as the second floor guide fairy, Barghest, and cheerfully asks how they enjoyed the tutorial. The students stare at the grotesque fairy in tense silence, though some arrogant nobles seem dismissive of the creature. The tense silence is broken by the lead noble bully, who boasts that the tutorial floor was no big deal. The bully brashly tells the fairy to hurry up and bring on the next challenge. He foolishly proclaims his grand ambition to conquer this dungeon and return as a legendary hero. The noble claims he isn't scared in the slightest. In response, Barghest furiously praises his challenging spirit, and agrees to start the trial right away. Barghest cheerfully announces a very simple second-floor mission. Without warning, several purple dimensional portals burst open around the plaza, completely enclosing the students. The cocky noble suddenly breaks into a cold sweat as a low guttural growl emerges right behind him. He is surrounded by terrifying, muscular demonic hounds with fiery heads. As the beasts close in, Barghest cheerfully delivers the sole objective of the second floor: survive.